Hello and welcome back. So, I don't know if you noticed, but there's a bit of a background change. I was in my mom's classroom and now I'm in my bedroom. It is easier to film in here because there's nobody walking in front of me or behind me or distractions, so I can just film whenever I want and it's all good. Also, I have this little decoration here that I now get to have as my little decoration. If you guys want to give my little skull here a name, let me know down below in the comments for that. I'm actually looking at putting one of those little handle things that you put the battery in and it flickers like a handle. I want to put that inside the head for the videos so that it kind of just shines. I don't know. Tell me what you guys think. So this is my new background. Let me know if you guys like it. If I should add something to it. If you miss the blue lights. Let me know. I wanted to introduce you guys to someone very special to me. This is my cat, Peanut. Today I'm going to do who and a. That's question and answer. I have come up with a list of questions that I've been asked throughout the years and just in general that I've seen that I think should be answered. I have my list here to hide. If I look down, that's why. First up on the list, we have, can you speak? Can you understand me? Now this next one is something that can really irritate me. People need to gain more knowledge and not assume things, because I've dealt with this one firsthand. I have been asked, is cancer contagious? Every website that I looked up that talks about cancer usually asks the question, is cancer contagious? No. I'm gonna put this out there. No, it's not contagious. I cannot breathe on you. I cannot touch you. None of that. You will not get cancer. It is something inside your body. You cannot get it from another human being. Something that I'd like to bring attention to is the fact that I myself, when I got cancer, was 15, technically 14, diagnosed at 15. But it's the fact that young people do get cancer. It's not something where cancer discriminates. Anyone and everyone has the ability to have it. With that being said, the young people have to worry about oral cancer. In my personal opinion, yes. Is there a high risk for them? Probably not as high as it would be if they were older. There's not as high of a risk for younger people as there is older people. However, it does not rule it out completely. You should still be aware and still look for the signs. Oral cancer can happen to young people, and I'm proof of it. Don't be naive and think that, oh, I'm young, this only happens to old people, or this will never happen to me. It can. That 1 in a million, I was that one. Be safe, get yourself checked. Next up, we have, is chemotherapy painful? In my personal experience, I had what is called cisplatin. That was my chemo drug. It honestly was not my friend. My best friend became the toilet bowl because it made me very sick. It not only heals the bad cells, but it also heals the good cells. So I love it and lots healing whatever badness to be inside of you. It also poisons you and takes away some of the good. So it's a love-hate relationship. I loved it for what it did, but yes, it was painful. It was not fun. I did not wish it on anyone. And to follow that last one up, I had is radiation painful? Again, remember, this is all from my personal experience, and if I had any experience or stories from other people, but I cannot tell other people's stories. I can only tell mine. And to follow that last one up, I had is radiation painful? Again, remember, this is all from my personal experience, and if I had any experience or stories from other people, but I cannot tell other people's stories. I can only tell mine. Is radiation painful? When I had radiation, I got fitted for my mask, which I can show you all at a later date. I still have it. Basically, the process of radiation for me was 5 days a week for, I want to say it was 6 weeks. I'll have to get back to you guys on that to confirm. So, don't quote me. Anyways, so I had it 5 days a week, every week for about 6 weeks, while I was going through my 3 rounds of chemo. Basically, you have the masks that they fit to you, fit your facial shape exactly, because they take you to a big machine, it's kind of like a donut machine, and you lay back on a table, and they put the mask on. They essentially bolt you to the table, so that mask is like right on. And then they walk out of the room, you go back into the tube, and it goes through. It takes about, mine took about 5-10 minutes, and then I was done. They got me back out, took the mask off, and I was done. I could go home. Being claustrophobic was not a great thing when you have a mask sealed tightly to your face and bolted on a table. A question that I feel like I get asked and I don't answer a lot is, will my cancer come back? In short terms, no, the exact cancer I had won't come back because I don't have that piece anymore. The tongue that is in the mouth, I have none of that. None. Zilch. It's gone. However, having oral cancer in general is still a possibility. Do I worry my cancer will come back? On some level, sure. You know, it's not a fun thing to deal with. On the other hand, you know, if I hate it, I hate it. I deal with it. I'm not going to die, so what else am I going to do besides work my hardest to beat it, you know? Is cancer a death sentence? This one is one that I know that a lot of people have different opinions on. I'll share with you my opinion. I think there are many different cases and many different types of cancer in people's situations. Mindset-wise, don't think that just because you have cancer or you've been diagnosed that you're automatically going to die. Mine was stage 4, and stage 4 is the last stage before you die. That's it. That's the worst. There's nothing higher. Yet, here I am. So, Is cancer a death sentence? No. Can you die because of cancer? Yes. But don't automatically assume that just because you have it, that you're gonna die. Okay, now this is a question that I've gotten a lot over the years, over my 8 years of dealing with this. And that is, how do I stay so positive? I like to make a joke and say that my blood type is O positive. It's in me. I'm positive because why wouldn't I be? I mean, I'm not gonna make life miserable for other people because I want to give hope to people. If people can see that I've been through something like this and I'm still positive and I still have an okay attitude or upbeat attitude and, I live, then why can't someone else? It's a mindset of just keep moving forward, just keep swimming. That was a motto that I used a lot back in my treatment days, is just keep moving forward, just keep pushing on, just keep going. Try and help those in your hands, share your knowledge. As part of my services, this is share my knowledge. I want to help patients and survivors and anyone that I can. The fact you don't want to help people with a nasty or unpositive attitude, they don't receive that well. I think a lot of positivity comes from determination. I'm focused on having a happy life and doing something with my life and being inspirational. I want to help people. Something that is very different depending on different people's situations is what cancer is like for them. Cancer for me was painful. It was a mass in the side of my tongue that was essentially eating me from the inside out. So that was painful. It smelled. It hurt. It wasn't my best. I couldn't eat well. I lost my appetite over time because it hurts so bad to move my mouth. It hurts to talk. I think having stage 4 cancer, having that label to it, was probably the heaviest part. Because stage 1, okay, they cut out a little piece of your tongue. You might have for treatment, not that bad. Stage 2, that's a little worse, that's way more concerning. It's more of a matter of urgency. Stage 3, it's like, okay, you're almost at the last stage, you need to hit the sun, this needs to be handled, this needs to be worked with, there's something wrong, it needs help. Stage 4 is that turning point where it's like, it's a heaviness. I've had family members who've had cancer, and you never want to hear that it hits the stage 4. And this is probably why people associate it with a death sentence, because stage 4 is the last stage. But having cancer in general, you're ousted. People think you have a disease. People think, oh, I don't want to be near her, I don't want to be friends with her, because if she dies, then I have to deal with that. Or the guilt of being my friend and then dying. I mean, there's a lot to all of this, and I will be having more topics on some of his questions. But this is just like a quick overview because he has a general list on questions and topics that I get asked frequently, or I used to. Next up is talking about my hair. let me tell you guys, my hair used to be my pride and joy. My mom was a hairdresser for 22 years, so I valued my hair. I took care of my hair. It was my happiness. I did. When I went through treatment, I did lose some hair. The main part of it was a big spot over here. It was like it was just a bald spot. And my doctors asked me if I was pulling my hair out, and nope, I'm going through chemotherapy and radiation. So that was a bit hard. And the angle of my radiation, the way that it hit, the bottom of my hairline, that receded a bit. It went up. So while I was going through treatment, one of the effects that I had was I felt that my hair weighed like 100 pounds. It was bad. It was painful. I had a lot of headaches. I felt like I couldn't move my head. It felt like so much hair. My hair was about down here. And it was a hard process to convince myself, oh, it's just hair. My mom being a hairdresser, I should have known that, but it wasn't something I knew, but something that didn't click in my noggin. So I couldn't take the pain anymore. The pain was too much, and at that time my mom was helping me in the shower to wash my hair, and just for everyone's sake, to make it easier, so I wouldn't have the pain, so I didn't have to deal with the stress. I looked at my mom and I was like, you know what? Let's just shave it. I don't want to watch it fall out. I don't want to have to deal with this pain. It's one less thing I do not have to worry about. When I get up in the morning, I can throw a scarf on my head and leave the house. It's something that makes my life easier. My mom was so sweet. She tried to convince me to let her shave her head too, and like my mom, no, that's that I wouldn't let her on here. It's okay, you know. So I went ahead and shaved my head, and I saw that little bald spot in the back of my head. I had that moment when I had filled my head, and the first time that I had ridden the vehicle, the truck, after, I felt the wind through my scalp, and it was quite cold. It was something I was not expecting. And the way I shaved it, it was all stubborn, so anytime I meant to put a scarf on, the scarf would stick to my head. Sometimes. I've done lots of things with my hair since. Right now it's a black purple, but it's starting to heal up, so it's not much out back to my natural, so I have to recolor it. I'm thinking about maybe doing a video on that. If anyone wants to watch me recolor my hair, let me know or comment down below, and I will film that for you. Alright, now the next one that I'm talking about is a bit different. There have been times when I was back in my treatment days. I was out in public with my mom, and someone would look at her and talk to her, but they were asking questions about me. And instead of looking at me and trying to talk to me, they'd just look at her and just speak to her, like I wasn't there. They would ask her things like, what's wrong with her? And I'm like, I'm standing right here, people. And also, that feels like it's kind of rude to ask someone, even if it's the person standing next to you, it's still rude, people. Don't do that. The way I see it, I am modified And I don't mean modified my hair piercing tattoo type of way. I mean it more in I'm missing a few pieces, and that's okay. I have a modified life. So there's nothing wrong with me. I hate that stigma that's attached that there's something wrong. There's nothing wrong. Now if it's a financial, that's a whole different topic. But I'm joking, guys. Although I do see a therapist. Anyways, don't. It is rude to ask people what is wrong with someone, especially with them standing right there. Rude. A follow up that is with that question that I like to ask my mom is, can she hear? Just because I lost my tongue does not mean I have now lost my ability to hear. Now, with that being said, chemo and radiation have side effects. One of the two, I cannot remember, but one of them does cause hearing loss. And they did say that I could go deaf. And to be honest with you guys, I was hoping not to go deaf because something that I loved and that I cherish is music. And I will be adding a Spotify. I will be linking a Spotify to this channel so that if you ever need music to go with your mood, I will have a playlist of mood music that I personally love and associate with those moods. So be sure to check that out. So back to the whole can I hear? Yes, I can hear perfectly fine. There are some very, very high tones that I no longer can hear, but that is not something super abnormal, it's just higher tones. They just don't register as well, or I can't differentiate where they're coming from, what side. Other than that, I'm good. I'm fine with hearing. Now something that I hit asked quite a lot, and this would be a whole video in and of itself, but for right now I'm just kind of skimming the surface on this one. Okay, so the question is, can I eat? Yes, I can. I do have a stomach tube, or what they call in medical terms, Mickey button. That's MIC-HEY button. And that's essentially just a eating tube that I can get my water and nutrients that I have to have. When I have to rely on just my mouth, then I can get malnourished and be sent in the hospital. And on the flip side, because I had tried to take it out, I want to say twice, and both times I ended up back in the hospital. And also, keep in mind that I've had multiple surgeries on my mouth, and with stitches and healing, it's just not able to happen where I can eat efficiently by mouth and still have all those open wounds without being infected. It's a process. Plus, also, I touched on this in last week's video and blog post, but my lenses are not for use. They're for aesthetic purposes mostly, and they help my speech a tad, but it just helps sharpen it a bit, because it puts my lip to having something to go back on to make those sounds clearer, more precise. A question that goes along with this is also can I taste, because a tongue has taste buds on it. Most of my taste comes from smell. But sometimes it can be a little downer because some things smell the worst, but they don't taste that bad. And sometimes taste really bad and they don't smell that bad. So sometimes it's a double-edged sword on that one. All depends on what you hear. That is a topic I will be going more in depth about. So if you have any more questions about that in specific, please comment down below and I will make another video as soon as I hear about that. Because if you guys want to see it, I will put that video at more of a priority. Because right now I'm not sure what video I'm doing next. Just let me know. This one kind of has a bit of a loss too that I covered. And that is, since I lost my taste on my senses, does that mean another sense is heightened? Since I lost my sense of taste, mostly, does that mean another sense of mine has heightened? Yes. Especially when I first got out of surgery, it was terrible. When I first got out of surgery, my sense of smell was horrendous. At the house, we couldn't use bleach or anything with a harsh smell to it. It would physically burn my senses and burn my nose. The smell of food was a whole problem, especially during treatment. But yeah, that's a topic for another day if you guys want to hear about it. Let me know. But in short, yes, instead of my sense of taste being strong, it was my sense of smell that was very strong. And now instead of having my sense of taste be what it was, my sense of smell had heightened dramatically. A very popular question that I have ever gotten or seen is, how did I get cancer? Good question. No one specifically knows. To the doctors, they had told me that it was a fluke, an accident, we don't know basically. I did get the genetic testing done. It's not from my family. It is not in my line to get. So from what the doctors told me and what they said happened, is that I bit the side of my tongue just the right way, and it decided to activate the cancer cells, and then boom, I had cancer. Who knows? Maybe one day I'll find out. But right now, it is a mystery and unsolved. Something that I'm sure a lot of people are probably curious about is if I'm in remission. It's been 8 years. Am I? Basically, with my story, it's a bit in the gray area. It's not black and white. It's that in-between phase. I had what was a adult cancer at a young age. And that doesn't happen normally. So I fell right between. I had to have adult doctors and pediatric doctors. There were multiple cases where I needed to get scans, and I went to the adult doctors, adult hospital, and they said I was not old enough for their machinery, and I had to have a special order to get it done, because they did not understand that I was there for a specific reason, and an adult doctor had ordered that specific thing. There was some battles that we had that just, I wasn't 18, so I was not allowed to have it. There was a lot of things that I went in that line for, and it has a lot of issues throughout my journey, and it rougher than it should have been. So remission-wise, I had surgery May 9th. In that surgery, they took all the cancer out in my mouth. They took 52 lymph nodes, They took my left tonsil, and they took a piece from my left thigh, a piece of muscle, to make my flap for my mouth. While they were in there, one of the lymph nodes popped, and they did not know where it went. So, while technically there was no more cancer in me, to be safe and make sure everything was gone, nothing would return, and the popped lymph node, I had chemo and radiation. Technically, my first official cancer-free date was September 14th, 2012, because that's when I finished chemo and radiation. With my circumstances, though, and with it being so rare, I had to wait until the 5-year mark to essentially claim that I was a survivor in remission. Well, that 5-year mark came. I hit it. So, does that mean cancer-free? Am I in complete remission? To a degree, yes. They are still watching me though, because I should have not. I wasn't going to have the surgery in the first place, and now that I'm alive, every day is something that they didn't expect. Every day that I live is something that they did not expect. So, if I hit that 10-year mark, I'm gonna be exceeding all expectations. I mean, I already have, but that 10-year mark is it's the high hole. If I hit past that, then I'm super excited. It's been September 14th of 2020 will be my 8-year mark. So I have 2 years left until I reach my 10-year mark. If you hear about my opinion, I think I'm cancer-free. I hold myself in remission. I am a survivor because I do not physically have the cancer in me growing. I had treatment, I'm past that treatment and surgery and hospital stage where it was just constant and growing and it was in me, and I'm past that stage. I have my scans every 3 years now. It hurts another couple weeks, every couple months, every couple years. It's a process. It's a whole process. And I'm out far enough now that if they feel secure enough to put me in that place, and there's no signs showing that anything is growing, anything is back, nothing like that, then I would consider myself, in remission. I'm cancer-free. Another question I know people are curious about, and some people are like, how could that happen? But it does. Have I had to deal with rejection? In many forms, yes. This is an outward rejection, but I've been in a store, office, wherever you want to call it, a social setting, and there could be some people across from me, and now I know my appearance is a little different with all the black that I wear and my piercings and tattoos, okay, fine. These days I don't wear clothes anymore. I used to wear a skirt that covered all of this, so I looked normal. I've accepted my skirt. I'm okay with it now, it's the more look that can look. It happened. I don't know if it's my appearance that they're staring at, or there was one time that I was in a store and I was just having a conversation with my mom because we were talking about the groceries we needed for that week, that day, the groceries we needed for that day, and they heard me speaking as they were walking past, and I saw the looks on their face, and I heard them talking behind my back, and it just I know I sound different. I know I do. But to be rude about it and just be outwardly rude and be loud about it, just don't do it. Just don't do it. Please? Thanks. It's helpful. I dealt with rejection in the form of friends. When I was diagnosed, I had one friend, and because I went from public school, middle school, I went to 6th grade, to 7th grade I was being homeschooled, and I had one friend at the time, and when I told them that I had cancer, the reply was a bit not what I was expecting. I was told that it was my fault that I had asked for the cancer, and that I had the devil inside of me. Now, I live in a Bible Belt, so this is not to offend anyone. I know everyone has their religions. I don't think that having the devil in me is like, believe what you want to believe in. But just the fact that I was at my lowest point, and the one person who I considered my best friend, and just the person that I was coming to as my confidant, said that it was my fault, and basically I had something wrong with me, and that I asked for it, something that I had no control over. This is something that really affected me mentally, and for a long, long time, I took it to heart. I really did. I let it hit to me, and I have since gotten past it, but it was a process. Not an easy process either. But just, I could go on and on, guys, about stories that I've had to deal with about rejection and just people being outright rude to me. There are some unkind people in this world, and they're not afraid to show it. And I've had to deal with those people, and that's just the fact of life. I mean, I can't be in a box my whole life and expect everyone to treat me like nothing's wrong, or I can't expect everyone to treat me the same. I can't expect people to not be rude to me. I can't expect people to move their world and adjust themselves to my life for me. Because that's not how the world works. It's just not. Did I see a therapist? Yes. And I have. I've seen a few different therapists because it all depended on insurance at the time, how old I was, what area I lived in. I mean, there's multiple factors. But yes, I've had a couple therapists, and sprint, head case, whatever term you want to identify it with. I do believe in therapy and therapists, and just getting help for yourself, because that's what they're there to do. They're there to help you. They're not there to judge you. It's somebody that you feel completely comfortable with, that you can share your life with, and they're not going to judge. They're not going to say that, oh, you're wrong about something. They're there to help. They're there to help progress you and your life and your mental state, help you grow. If you have a therapist and they do not help you and you are not comfortable with them, do not continue with them. That is not the right fit for you. And something I want to mention is that there can be great therapists out there that work for many people. But if you do not feel comfortable and you do not work with that therapist and it does not feel right to you, do not stay with them. That is the right therapist, and it can do more damage than it does good. Remember that. Yes, I have a therapist, and in the last, I'd say, year or so that I've been with her, it's been wonderful. I've grown so much as a person. I've learned a lot about myself. The person you see now was not this person a year ago. I was very different. I was more in my shell, and I can't tell you guys how much I've progressed and changed my life, and I have her to thank a lot for that, because she's taught me coping mechanisms and the fact that it's okay to be not okay. I mean, I knew it and I understood it to a degree, but she's really helped me understand it and let my feelings out, and I can express my feelings in a healthier way instead of just bottling up everything and holding on to everything, so that at the moment I break, it just all comes crashing out like a waterfall. I do not believe you should feel bad for seeing a therapist. If you need the help and want the help, please contact one and get the help you need. They are there to help you. Say I had a cyst on my neck and I didn't speak. Most people would assume that I was normal. So, when I hear the statement said to me, "You don't look like you've had cancer," my initial thought is, what am I supposed to look like then? Half dead, no hair, lines, bullets, and pits all coming out of me in a hospital bed in a hospital gown? I mean, why is it such a terrible image you think of when you think of a cancer patient? I mean, there are people who thrive. I mean, just because I have cancer doesn't mean I look like my worst self ever. People have different treatments. Some people don't go through the whole chemo, and some people don't have even radiation. They just have surgery. It doesn't make them any less valid. Who would say that? It does not make you any less valid if you do not have radiation or chemo. Cancer does not have a look. You know what look cancer survivors have though? Strength. Another thing I wanted to mention is when people know that you've had chemo or radiation, had cancer, and they assume that your hair is not real. Like, you automatically lose your hair and it never goes back. No, this is my real hair, guys. It's been here for years. I never completely lost all of my hair, although I did say that I never completely went bald from humiliation. Never ask someone if it's a wig unless it is the right circumstance to ask them. And honestly, some people shave their hair and then they don't want to have hair again. They like it shaved, and that's a personal preference. A topic that I want to touch on and possibly come back to that another time is PTSD for cancer patients. I personally did not associate with being a cancer patient or cancer survivor. When I heard the term PTSD, I always associated it with the military. My dad is a Navy veteran, and I always just associated it with that, and I was like, I have never had that. I was in the military. That's not for me. That can't happen to me. What does PTSD mean? It is post-traumatic stress disorder. Guess what? I had it. I have it. Yeah. I do have PTSD from having cancer. It's not uncommon. Many people hear it. It's something that I think should be talked about and dealt with and handled more, but currently it's not, so here I am to talk about it. Let's talk about the hard stuff, the real stuff, the in-between. I'm here for it. Okay, I'm going to round this video off with one last question. How do you live a normal life being modified? I like to call it modified, just as I said, because, it's not a choice. I didn't choose this. It happened, and I want to live, so I'm missing my tongue. Move on. Living a relatively normal life is not easy because communication with people at a regular job is not easy. You get people who you're talking and they're just like, and you ask them a question and they're just like, and it's like, there's also those people who will just flat out refuse to talk to because, there's something wrong with her. I'm not dealing with that. Get me someone different. There are people who try so hard to understand, and I think the people I really do. It means a lot to me when someone tries to understand me, and most times the more people hear me talk, the more it registers in their mind what I'm saying more easily. So basically, the more you hear me talk, the more you understand what I'm saying in long term. So keep watching my videos. In general though, guys, being modified, it's not easy. And I figure with my difficulty with my modification, I'm never going to have a quote-unquote normal life, never a normal job, or anything like that. And I love piercings and tattoos, but it kind of goes along with it, because this is a very visible it's very visible. And I love my tattoos and piercings. I love my colored hair. I was not meant for normal. So, normal life is not what I'm going for. But it's hard trying to fit into that. There was a time that I tried. It's totally not for me, but also something that you have to be to have a very tough skin for, because you are intentionally putting yourself in the way of getting a lot of comments and said things about you. I mean, you get those in general, but when you put yourself in a position that you know it's going to happen a lot, and you get a lot of traffic, and you're constantly with people, it puts you in that environment where it's more likely to happen than it would be if, say, you looked at, like, by yourself or like this. I'm in my own room and there's nobody else here but my cat, so I mean there's nobody who understands his comments to me here. It all depends. Again, everything here is circumstantial, It depends on your situation, it depends on your story, because even if there is somebody who has the same exact surgery and the same exact things that I did, it is not the same because they have a different mentality, they have different people who support them, they have, just different perspectives. There's so many different things. There's just so many different things that are a factor that no two stories are ever 100% the same. There's a lot of similarities, but never the same. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. It was nice to finally do this. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while. It's like a bit of brain power to remember the questions I used to hit all the time, and I had to think of all the things I want to mention today. If there are any questions that you have or that you thought of while you heard this video and you want me to answer it, let me know. I will be checking all the comments, so I always do, and I always reply to them, so just let me know. Don't forget that there is a blog post that I will be putting up with this, and most of them have been going off track to the video. Like, it's not word for word, it's a bit more detailed, and I do want to start adding more pictures to my blog, so if you're interested in like the more in-depth inside my mouth, some of my hospital days, that type of pictures, go over to my blog and I will have those there. I am working on how to insert pictures into my video and just technical stuff like that, so stay tuned because this channel will hit better, I promise. That is all the questions and answers I have for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any other questions or something that you heard, maybe you think of something else that you'd like to answer, let me know in the comments down below. I am here to bring knowledge. I am here to help. Don't hesitate to reach out to me. I hope you guys have a wonderful day and stay safe.